So it is an honor to be back on stage here at Bioneers, a space where we gather not only to imagine a healthier, more just and regenerative world, but to actively strategize, organize, and build it together. Because if we're being honest, the crisis we're facing, land dispossession, climate chaos, food apartheid, they aren't accidental. They are the direct result of systems that have severed our relationships to land, to each other, and to the sacred. And so the work of this moment is not just technical, it's relational, it's spiritual, it's ancestral. That's why it's such a profound privilege to introduce someone who has dedicated her life to helping us remember what was never meant to be forgotten. Leah Penniman. Leah is a Black Kreyol farmer, a mother, a soil steward, a teacher, and a movement builder. She's a co-founder of Soul Fire Farm, a living, breathing testament. Yes, big up to Soul Fire Farm. Which is a living, breathing testament to what becomes possible when land is returned to right relationship with its people. For over 2 decades, Leah has been on the front lines of food sovereignty work, training Black and brown farmers, organizing towards land justice, and nourishing communities impacted by what our mentor, Karen Washington, urges us to name as food apartheid, the systemic racialized inequities that shape who has access to land, resources, and nourishing food. But what moves me the most about Leah's work is not just what she does, it's how she understands the world. In her essay in my book, Black Food, Leah reminds us that our ancestors braided seeds into their hair before being forced across the Atlantic, not just as sustenance, but as a promise that we would remember, a promise that we would return to the land. Embedded in that story is a worldview that refuses the lie that land is a commodity. Instead, as Leah teaches us, the earth is kin, the soil is alive. Farming is not extraction, but ceremony, reciprocity, and care. At Soul Fire Farm, this looks like honoring the spirits of the land before breaking ground. It looks like feeding people not just as charity, not as charity, but as justice. It looks like building systems rooted in dignity, self-determination, and collective thriving. In a time when land and food continue to be weaponized, used to dispossess, control, and exploit, Leah offers us another path. A path where land becomes a site of healing, where food becomes a tool of liberation, where community becomes the foundation of resilience, and where even in the face of repression, we remember that freedom is something we grow together. I've had the honor of knowing Leah for years, and I can say without hesitation that she is one of the most important thinkers, organizers, and practitioners helping to shape the future of food, land, and liberation in our time. Her talk today is entitled, Free the People, Free the Land. Please join me in welcoming Leah Penniman.
Peace and blessings, beloved community. It is such an honor to be among folks who love Mother Earth as much as I love Mother Earth. And in this very troubling time, you know we need all the help we can get. So I'm gonna ask you to help me call in all those who came before us and all those coming. Please think right now of the name of an ancestor who helped you to become the strong and beautiful person that you are today. And at the count of 3, let's say their names loud and strong into the space. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Ashe, ashe, asheo. So when my now young adult children were toddlers, we lived in the south end of Albany, New York, a neighborhood under food apartheid. As my brother Bryant Terry explained, there were no farmers markets, no supermarkets, no community gardens. We had to walk 2.2 miles to pick up our CSA share because there was no bus line that went to where the food was, and the cost was almost as much as our rent. When our neighbors who were similarly struggling to feed their children fresh fruits and vegetables found out that my spouse and I had been farm workers for 10 years, they said, "When are you going to start a farm for the people? When are you going to start a farm to feed us?" And so now 20 years ago, we wed ourselves to 80 acres of land, hard scrabble mountain land on ancestrally Mohican territory, and got to work building home, building soil, and building infrastructure to be able to feed our community. Our Solidarity Shares are our longest standing program, providing free doorstep delivery of food to the South End and beyond, providing gardens, food education. And as word got out about the work, we started getting phone calls from folks saying, "Well, we want to learn to farm too." And we became a farm school, training thousands of rising generation Black and brown growers in Afro-Indigenous, regenerative agroecology, joyfully reconnecting with our right to belong to Mother Earth. Thank you. So I bring with me into this room these baddies. This is the Soul Fire Farm team. These beautiful baddies whose hearts and hands are dedicated every day to land and food justice. And what we wanted to talk to you about today is this framework that we use when we situate the work we do at Soul Fire Farm into the larger movement ecosystem. This is the butterfly of transformative social change, right? So we at Soul Fire Farm, we mostly hang out in the build section of this butterfly. We have a land cooperative, an eco-village. We have the food distribution program and mutual aid. We're trying to create institutions that reflect the values we want to see in the new world. But we know that a butterfly cannot fly without all four of its wings, and a movement will not survive without these four core strategies. So in addition to build, there's resist. That's putting our bodies on the line to interrupt the oppression and the harm. It's the civil disobedience, the non-compliance, the boycott, the strike, the walkout, right? There's reform. That's the harm reduction strategy, the immediate strategy, the lobbying, the getting involved in electoral politics, public education. And then, of course, there's no way to live through 500 plus years of settler colonialism and racial capitalism and not be quite scarred. And so the healing, the cultural healing, the drum, the dance, the ceremony, the crying on one another's shoulders, right? These are the four wings. But we've never talked to y'all about the body of the butterfly. What is it that holds together these strategies? Because what happens often is this holier than thou, this one is more righteous than that, this is the number one priority and the other ones need to fall away when we need all. So what is the glue? What is the fuel? I'm going to tell you 3 stories to see if you can guess what is the glue that holds them together. You ready? Story number 1, build, the build wing. It's Hurricane Irene 2011, at the time the most severe tropical storm to hit our area. It's the middle of the night in August, and we awake to what sounds like a train rumbling through the forest. This is rural country, there is no train. We get up, go outside with our flashlights, the rain is pouring down, and we see where there was once dry forest, there's a river rushing toward our crops, which are in full glory and ready to be harvested to feed the community. Nashima was 8, Emmett was 6. We put shovels in their hand. We went outside, covered in mud and sweat, and we dug trenches to try to divert the water. It was a lot of water. So much so that my baby was afraid he'd be washed away, so he wore a life jacket around for 3 days. In the morning, the news reports rushed in. All the farms in our area had lost their crops. They had lost their topsoil. Our town was stranded for a week because the roads going to the town were washed away. We had to rebuild them with our own hands. But we went outside to our fields, and what we saw astonished us. The water was gently percolating into the rows of our contoured raised beds. And we lost 3 garlic plants. Now, why? This beloved soil, when we first wed ourselves to the land in 2006, looks like what it is in my left hand: eroded, degraded, centuries of abuse. We took what we learned from our ancestors and our people, from the Haitian farmers that restored their degraded hillsides with Jardin Lacou, from the Ovambo people who built raised beds, from George Washington Carver, who advocated for cover crops, from the Nigerian polycultures, from the African dark earth of the Liberian women, and we used all of these Afro-Indigenous technologies to build the soil in my right hand. A living soil. A soil with carbon levels that matched pre-colonial levels. A soil that can absorb water, right? And so when my dear friend Tiffany Lachey, who's a soil scientist in Texas, she came up to teach a soil workshop on our farm and took a soil core, which is so much fun. If you haven't done one, it's a blast. And genius people like this can read history through it. So she's going back thousands of years. She said, this is where the Mohican people did their controlled burns. You can see actually the ash layer here. This is where the sheep craze of the 1800s was. I guess there was 6 million sheep in our area. So she was reading the history and she said, this top 12 inches, y'all built this black gold in the time you were here. Not only did you build a foot of soil here, but in 1 million years, when someone comes and reads the geological record, it won't be chicken bones and plastic and death and nuclear waste here. It will be a black line of contribution. It'll be a black line of love here. I remember we're still trying to guess the butterfly body. Story number 2. This is from Resist. So my mother is from the beautiful island of Haiti, Haiti. Thank you. Shout out Haiti, sac passe. Napule. So the Haitian peasant movement is an incredible group of peasant farmers, members of Via Campesina, and have been taking care of their lands for centuries. After the 2010 earthquake, as often happens, United States corporations, under the paternalistic guise of humanitarian aid, attempted to flood the community with genetically modified rice seed and the corresponding herbicides to help with it, thank you very much, and the fertilizers that are necessary to grow it. Their plan is, if you do that for 2 or 3 years, you displace all of the Kreyol seed and the traditional life ways, and you create dependency. The US Tide Aid is a global project. But Haitian people too smart for that. They went out to the ports and they blocked the ships. They won the 2013 Global Food Sovereignty Prize for this work. And they doubled down and strengthened their own seed-keeping networks in collaboration with indigenous people all across the globe. These are my dear friends in Leogan. So this is their seed-keeping project, which we joined in with, right? And helped to connect them with seed keepers all across the world. This is a Mohican seed-keeping project that we work with to restore the maize to its homeland, the black maize. A Mayan seed-keeping project with our beloveds in Guatemala who are keeping their amaranth alive. We keep alive the white cucumber from the West Bank. So keeping alive these beloved seeds that are at risk from corporatization, from war, from aggression, from commodification. These beloved seeds will live on because of the work of resistance against their commodification. Third story. I know y'all gonna guess. You're gonna get this. This is on the heel wing. So as I mentioned, we're on Mohican land. The Mohican people were forced off of their territory. They are the people of the waters that are never still, the Mohican Tuck. The beautiful Hudson River flows both ways for 150 miles, right near where we live. And so they're the people of these waters. They were forced off their land in the 1800s, first to Oneida Territory in western New York, then to Menominee Territory in Wisconsin. And they've been on their reservation in Bowler for generations now, not owning a shred, a scrap of land in their homelands. Their cultural preservation officer is a member of our Solidarity Share, and she's one of the first Mohicans to move back to the area. Her baby, Norbu Sky, was the first Mohican born in the homelands in 4 generations. And we worked very closely with them over the past 5 years on this 250-acre land back project. There are sacred burial grounds not far from Soulfire, just a walk away. So the community came together, got this 250 acres off the market, got the deed transferred. It was a whole beautiful, challenging process of collaboration. But both the Mohican elders and the faith leaders in our community said, it can't just be in the material realm, right? We need a spiritual transfer. We need a ceremony. So we organized a peace pilgrimage, an interfaith, multicultural, multiracial peace pilgrimage where we visited sacred sites, the burial sites, the warm springs, the monument mountain, and we prayed with our whole bodies. We prayed with our chanting and our singing. We prayed with our feet and our sweat and our exhaustion. We cried on the earth, and we really felt the earth welcoming her Mohican children back home. Raise your hand if you think you've got it. Okay. I'm going to give you a few more clues. I could tell you more stories, but I only have 18 minutes. All right, here's your few clues in the form of wisdom literature from the Metta Sutta in the Buddha Dharma. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the whole world, spreading upwards to the skies, and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded. From James Baldwin, the children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the globe, and I'm beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality. And from Enrique Salmon, indigenous people view ourselves and nature as part of an extended ecological family that shares ancestry and origins. It is an awareness that life in any environment is viable only when humans view the life surrounding them as kin. The interactions that result from this kin-centric ecology enhance and preserve the ecosystem. The fishermen in the Magdalena River of Colombia say, "We are not defenders of the river. We are the river." Who had it? Kinship, also called interbeing, also called Ubuntu, the Zulu principle, I am because we are. Also interdependence, also love. In the first story, the soil is kin. In the second story, the seeds are kin. In the third story, the land are kin. In all of the stories, all of the people of the land are kin. There is not a difference. But there is a deep and dangerous forgetting in these times. A forgetting that would convince us that these hungry children are not ours to feed. A forgetting that would make us think that these lands are somehow natural resources, or the environment, or a commodity and not kin. A forgetting that would make us think that migration is not beautiful, and that migrants are not our family, and that somehow it's not our obligation to put our bodies between our kin and harm. And this non-kin thinking is the root problem. Right? It's what leads to racialized oppression and earth ravaging, because what it does is it severs our family and it relegates others to non-person. And only when you relegate others to non-person can you conceive of enacting violence upon them. There is not a difference fundamentally between white supremacy, human supremacy, all the isms, right? We've been talking about Wendell Berry's concept of what is the underlying singular strategy to reweave our kinship. And the very good news about this as fuel and glue is that it's a renewable, infinite resource. Sister Chan Kung is a nun, Vietnamese nun, co-founder of Plum Village, incredible woman. She organized the rescue of the Vietnamese boat people during the war, facing down pirates, hostile governments, bombs flying up, sunrise to sundown every day, day after day. And she said, I never was afraid, and I never was tired, and I never was what you all call burnt out. Because love was my fuel. Bitterness, hatred, self-righteousness, they're fuel, but they burn very quickly. They burn hot and they hurt and harm those around us. But love has no end. The other piece of good news about kinship as fuel is that there are so many ways to engage. And Soul Fire Farm has spent a good amount of time talking to Black and Indigenous leaders in the land and food justice movement about just what everybody could do from this frame. You can check it out on our website. So I'll leave you with these words from our dear neighbor, monk friend, elder, Junya Suda Anju-san, who put it in her, she's a Japanese nun, she speaks very little English, but the English she does speak is on point. And so this is what she said to me. I am the mountain is me. I am the stars, the ocean is me. I am the bird, the tree is me. I am you, and you are me. We are dust of the universe. War starts in the mind. Thanks very much.